television at matinee rates. I know a big-budget beauty with impeccable taste should get you what you need to put a smile on your face with just the right blend of leather and lace. Madam Grindhouse is gonna be your guide to a weird, wild, wonderful world waiting inside. Step right up, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. She's here to provide Madam Grindhouse.
Hello, my little sprocket friends and cinematic masochists. It's me, Madam Grindhouse, your cinematrix of the silver screen. As we've discussed before, while the term Grindhouse can refer to any low-budget movie with a hook to reel in an audience, the actual heyday of the Grindhouse trend is generally agreed to be roughly from the mid-1960s to the mid to late 1970s. But prior to that era, you still had plenty of independent movie producers looking to make a quick buck, especially with teenagers as the baby boom got fully underway in the 1950s. At the same time, the Cold War was beginning to come to the forefront of geopolitics, and with it, the concerns about the after effects of nuclear weapons being deployed. And that led to screenplays which used nuclear explosions and other scientific accidents as the reason that some giant monster would start rampaging across cities and the countryside, and provide a backing track for those same teenagers to make out in the back of cars at drive-ins. Some of these have become beloved classics, like 1954's Godzilla, or Gojira if you want to be clear you're talking about the original Japanese version, or just want to be a pretentious film nerd. Or the giant ant classic, Them, also from 1954. And the greatest of all, The Cockroach That Ain't Cincinnati. It's worth eating. But there's plenty of others which were quickly pumped out for the matinee and drive-in circuit, which were basically the kind of thing you'd find on any episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000. The Giant Gila Monster, The Beginning of the End, The Amazing Colossal Man, and so on. These movies, while cheesy, did stick in the imagination of a lot of people who saw them. And in 2002, director Ellery El-Kayem and producer Dean Devlin decided to expand one of El-Kayem's short films about a giant spider attack into a horror comedy homage to those giant monster movies of the 1950s. Tonight, 2002's Eight-Legged Freaks.
Do you know fear? Do you know what it's like to feel your heart beating in your chest so intensely that you can't even breathe?
I'm not impressed with this Rocky Horror remake so far, to be honest.
That's right here at KFRD. Freedom Radio, the only source for the inside dope on government conspiracies, space aliens, and up-to-the-minute reports on when they plan to invade.
God, I miss the days when conspiracy theories were patently ridiculous and silly, and the people who believed them weren't in charge of the levers of power. Anyway, our radio host here is Harlan Griffiths, played by Dougie Doug. As he explains in his opening monologue, he broadcasts out to a small dying mining town of Prosperity, Arizona. And because Prosperity is in the middle of fucking nowhere, it looks like he's the only broadcast anyone can get.
You still think that we actually landed on the moon? That Oswald killed Kennedy and that a black man's vote in Florida actually counts?
Okay, that last one is just a statement of fact. As the sun rises, we see a chemical truck driving down the main road just outside town. The driver is half asleep, he's hauling barrels of toxic waste, and there's an adorable rabbit bouncing across the road. Do I really need to tell you what happens next? Yeah, it's one of the oldest tropes in the giant monster movie. Toxic waste causes ordinary creatures to grow to ridiculous proportions. It's stupid, and I love it. Also in driver's ed, they taught us, if you are driving, hit the damn rabbit. It won't fuck up your car, and it's better than you getting in an accident. Later that morning, another guy, who we later learn is named Joshua Taft, gathers up some crickets from the pond and takes them home. We cut to a week later where we learn Taft runs a spider farm as a tourist trap. I don't know if he wants to trap the tourists to get their money or trap them to be food. We also meet one of our main characters, Mike Parker, played by Scott Terra. Because Mike is a nerdy kid who lives in a dying town in the middle of nowhere, he's developed an obsession with spiders and insects because what the hell else are you going to do until puberty kicks in and you discover girls? Though the girls won't discover you if that's your special interest, kid.
My Costa Narbonensis looks different today. It's bigger. It's their diet. 3 days.
Crickets?
They're like spider steroids.
The next few minutes are basically foreshadowing as the movie goes through the various types of spiders Joshua keeps. You have your tarantulas, your trapdoor spiders, your jumping spiders, but the main species this movie has decided is going to be the big bad or orb weaver spiders, and it helpfully explains why.
See, the male orb weavers compete for the female's attention. They all try to give her, the best present. And see, the prey is cocooned alive, so she can eat them in her nest. You know how much women like breakfast in bed.
I'm starting to see why Joshua lives alone with his spiders and his parrots.
See, the female of the species is 3 times as big as the male. Say hello to Consuela.
Now, to backtrack just a little bit, while all this is going on, neither Mike nor Josh notice that the tarantula from earlier has escaped from its tank. This will turn out to be a very bad thing once Mike leaves, if it wasn't already, because a tarantula escaping is fucking scary. Oh, and just in case any arachnophobes in the audience disregard the content warning and are somehow still here, this is the point you might want to bail because it's going to be a very bad time for you going forward. Let me give you a few seconds to head for the exit.
Shall I wrap that for you, sir?
Oh, that's all right. My saucer's just outside.
They come from miles to enjoy our intermission.
Now, where were we? Oh, right. Josh's horrible death. We then cut to another week later, and we meet our actual main character for the movie, Chris McCormick, played by David Arquette. Chris left town about 10 years ago after his father died, and has come home to try and get the mine profitable again, despite everyone believing that it's almost completely played out.
We aren't hiring. We're laying off. We're 3 months from a going out of business sale. You got the picture?
It's Chris.
Yes. Chris?
Aunt Gladys.
Welcome home.
Meanwhile, Mike, on his way to the spider farm, arrives at the pond where the local deputy, Pete Willis, is hauling the barrel out of it. But he's not alone.
The question is, what are you doing out here? You were supposed to stay in the house. What'd you find, Mom? I told you no more weekly visits to that spider farm, didn't I? All right, you're grounded, mister.
This is Sam, the sheriff, played by Carrie Wurrer. So yeah, another goddamn cop. We just can't get away from them, apparently. Sam's one of those cop parents who thinks the best way to keep them out of trouble is by being a major hard-ass to her kids. We already saw it with Mike, but now her daughter Ashley, played by a pre-Black Widow Scarlett Johansson, gets the same treatment when she and her boyfriend Brett get pulled over.
You just bought yourself a reckless, Brett.
Oh, come on, give him a break.
Get in the truck, Ashley. Mom! Now.
Hey, Larry, do we know anybody down at City Hall that might be able to take care of this? Brett, isn't your stepfather the mayor?
Next time you put my daughter's life in danger, I'll show you exactly how little that means to me.
What do you think, G-string or underwear?
None of your fucking business, you little shits. I mean, yeah, she's a cop and fuck her in general, but cop or not, there are certain lines of decorum. Also, don't fuck her. If they are legally untouchable, they are morally unfuckable. Mike tries to call Joshua, but as you might expect, his whole place is overrun by the spiders, and he's long dead. And one of the spiders makes off with his corpse. But enough about that. Let's get into what you really want to see. Hot town hall meeting action.
The only reason that we've kept this town going is the hope that the McCormick mines could turn themselves around and put everybody back to work. It is not happening.
As we established, the town is basically dying. The mine is played out, a freeway that was supposed to go through didn't, and pretty much every other attempt to revitalize the place has failed, including the mayor's idiotic idea to build a mall and start an ostrich farm. Yes, both of those elements will come into play later. As it turns out, the chemical company the toxic waste came from wants to buy all the property in town so they can turn the mine into a storage space for the waste. But it's an all-or-nothing deal. Everybody has to agree to sell, or the company isn't buying, for obvious reasons. And the reason there's even an argument is rumors have been circulating for years that there's a vein of gold somewhere in the mine that hasn't been uncovered yet. Chris believes this and pretty much throws a monkey wrench into the whole plan.
I'm not selling the mine.
This pisses off most of the townsfolk in general, and the mayor in particular.
Don't make the rest of the town suffer just because you feel guilty you weren't around when your father died. I'm talking to you.
Later that night, we go to Pete's house. Pete's been remodeling, and his cat has a habit of crawling into the newly mounted walls. Unfortunately for the cat, the spiders have started coming into town. Cat lovers, you might want to skip ahead a few seconds. While there isn't any on-screen violence done to the cat, it implies a hell of a lot. The next morning, we get the beginning of Chris's backstory and some hints as to why he left town 10 years ago.
Tell her why you broke a husband's nose. Why you left town without so much as a fare thee well. Lose a face fuzz before you do. Makes your mouth look like a stripper's pouch.
Gee, that sound effect surely wasn't put there to make sure this movie didn't get an automatic R rating for that line alone. Chris goes over to Sam's house while at the exact same time, Pete calls her about the cat. Mike tries to sneak away out of the house, only to find Sam has handcuffed his bike to the water heater, and Sam tries to parent Ashley.
Here, take this. What is that? Is that a stun gun?
A taser? Really? When my mom had the talk with me and my sisters, we got advanced melee weapons training. No, I'm not going to elaborate. You want to know what I can use? Piss me off and find out.
Mom, I'm not you, okay? I'm not gonna get pregnant at 16. I'm not gonna stay here for the rest of my life and be like a trailer trash sheriff.
And so more pieces of the puzzle fall into place. Anyway, while Chris stammers through an awkward conversation with Sam, Mike manages to sneak out and goes back to the spider farm. He finds the place covered in webs and heads out the back to find tracks leading into one of the entrances to the mine.
From my initial estimates, the spiders have doubled. No, more like they're 5 times their original size.
Chris gets the mining crew to start looking for the load his dad claimed to have found, then finds Mike on the road back into town. Mike helpfully recaps everything that's happened with the spider so far, and proves to be extremely genre savvy.
But you're not gonna believe me because I'm the kid, and they never believed the kid.
He is going to be proven right. Multiple times. Down in the mines, Leon, the foreman, has his water hose suddenly lose pressure and does something extremely stupid. And suffers the extremely gross consequences of doing it. Mike gets caught by Sam while he tries sneaking back into the house. He tries to tell her what's going on, but yeah, they never believe the kid in these movies, and especially when the person listening is the asshole cop, even though she's his mom. From here, we get to the mayor's house, where we learn he's already cut a deal to store the toxic waste under the town without anyone knowing, because, their property values aren't low enough. Lovely, so every elected official in this burg is an asshole. Actually, that makes sense, elected officials generally are. After Brett leaves and the phone call ends, the mayor sees his ostriches freaking out and goes out to investigate, and loses about 30% of his investment. The next morning, Harlan's off and running after listening to police calls about missing pets.
We all know about those cows in New England and the probe, the anal probe. Yeah, let's talk about the probe.
Listen, what I do to my partners, who are consenting adults, is none of your damn... Oh wait, he's talking about aliens again. Moving on. Chris decides to go to the local barber shop to get a shave, but the barbers aren't thrilled with the fact that he won't sell the mine, which would allow them to sell their land as well. But this scene ultimately goes nowhere. Yeah, one of the flaws with this movie is that a lot of scenes are really short and don't really have any sort of resolution or natural ending. The movie just cuts to the next thing and moves on, which makes some scenes seem incomplete while others just seem pointless. Anyway, since we're 40 minutes into this movie and there hasn't been a chase scene yet, we get one here with Brett and his douchebag buddies. But first, we pay off the taser bit when Brett gets overly handy with Ashley.
Back off!
Oh, God! I can't believe my mom was right about you. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that is?
Ash! Ash, wait! I'm sorry!
And now we have the chase between Brett and his buddies and the jumping spiders. This goes on for about 5 or 6 minutes, with things ending when the spiders cause a tanker truck to wreck and explode, which takes out the phone lines leading in and out of towns. Because of course it does. Because we can't have phones work. Brett gets chased to the mine, with the entrance behind him collapsing. We go over to Gladys, who... Jesus, Gladys, are you planning to speedrun lung cancer? Her dog goes down to the basement, where we discover the spiders have tunneled their way into the house. The dog sadly doesn't make it. Boy, this is not the movie for animal lovers either, I tell you. Unless the animals you love are spiders, which... Okay. Chris comes home and Gladys goes down into the basement looking for the dog and goes in after it. This does not go well for her. Chris finds the tunnel and goes in looking for Gladys. But he clearly has more common sense than everyone else in this movie, since he goes right the hell back once he finds another shedded spider leg in the tunnel. He races over to Sam's house to show Mike the new leg, which literally illustrates the scale of the problem.
Check this out. After taking careful measurements of the exoskeleton I found at Joshua's, my program calculated that the spider was roughly the size shown here. Now let's input the measurements from your exoskeleton and see what happens.
That's more like it. Unfortunately.
So while Mike and Chris try to convince Sam they aren't crazy, and Mike points out that Gladys might not be dead, just captured by the male orb weavers to take to Consuela, everyone gets a reality check when another spider crashes into Ashley's room and starts webbing her up. However, since Sam's a fucking cop, that means she responds like any cop would in that situation. With excessive force. But you know, giant spiders, so... honestly, that's okay, I guess. While Sam radios Pete to bring all the fucking guns, Brett discovers what's left of Leon in the mines. And much more. So back in town, the spiders are starting to get more aggressive, taking out the barbers in the process, and this is because, as Mike says, the spiders Joshua had at the farms are all nocturnal hunters. The sun's going down, and they're coming out to feed. With the phones out, the only option they have to warn everybody is to use Harlan's radio transmitter. Harlan reacts to this about like you'd expect.
Whoa, what are you doing?
Harlan, I need to make an emergency broadcast.
You can't just come in here and oppress me.
I have no time to explain, okay? Just show me how this thing works.
Sam broadcasts a warning to the town, but of course no one who hasn't already seen the spiders thinks it's real. Hey, wait a minute, wasn't there a tarantula earlier in this movie? Sam tells everyone in town to arm up and meet at the mall. Why the mall?
Concrete walls, steel doors.
Well, shit, that's actually a decent plan. Fuck. So annoying when these movies make me have to give any credit to the cops in them. Though really, you could learn that by reading the Zombies Survival Guide. The tarantula overturns the trailer, which gives everybody a chance to get out and head back to town. Speaking of town, all hell breaks loose as the spiders start hunting everyone in earnest. Oh, and the movie makes one of the two most obvious jokes they can make.
There's no way that you're telling me that that thing back there is from Earth. All right, they're spiders from Mars. You happy?
Thank God they didn't talk Bowie into doing a cameo for this movie. Probably couldn't afford him. Everybody gets to the mall and Sam barely manages to get inside before the main gate closes, before this movie makes the second of the two most obvious jokes it can make.
What exactly is it? Spider-Man.
You may now groan in agony as that joke rightfully deserves. Only I make the puns around here. We fast forward to a couple of hours later. The mall is holding, but they don't know for how long. Since this is the early 2000s, the phones are out and the town is, as established, in the middle of fucking nowhere. That means communications are limited. The mayor has a cell phone, but the signal is shit. That's when Harlan has an idea.
Why don't you just use the antenna up on the top of the mall? I mean, that's how I get my broadcast out over the mountains. Just have somebody climb up on the roof and get a signal out.
Chris and Harlan head for the roof, while everybody else arms themselves. Mike suggests using perfume to confuse the spider's sense of smell. Boy, we're all learning a lot about arachnids' physiology today. Or the movie's just making up bullshit. And frankly, it doesn't matter which at this point. The spiders start managing to break down the gate, which causes the mayor to sneak off like the useless cowardly shit that he is. He sneaks off through a side door and down, presumably into the basement, where he locks another sliding steel door behind him. Meanwhile, up on the roof, Chris manages to get a signal and calls 911. the predictable happens.
This is emergency services, sir, not dial-a-gym.
This is not a crank
I'm
call.
hanging up on
Don't
you,
hang
sir.
up on me.
Also, who's 911 gonna send for this? Back in the mall, Sam looks for the mayor and the maintenance guy says the door he went through leads to a storage room that connects to the mines. Sam sends the kids to take anyone who's injured down to the storage room. And finally, the spiders manage to break through the gate and everybody realizes how fucked they are and try to break for the storage room. Speaking of, down in the storage room, the kids and the maintenance guy discover the mayor locked the door leading to the mines. Gee, the spineless borderline con artist mayor who's responsible for all this in the first place decided to save his own skin and fuck his constituents. How surprising. Back on the roof, we get our title drop moment.
Get back, you eight-legged freak!
Now, this is another bit of trivia I haven't been able to confirm the truth of, but supposedly David Arquette improvised that line and the producers liked it enough to retitle the movie from its original title of Iraq Attack, which is what it was called in international markets. There's other rumors that they changed it in the US because Iraq sounded kind of like Iraq, and that was while the Second Gulf War was going on and they didn't want any confusion. I don't know if that's true, but it's just dumb enough to be believable for that time. Harlan decides to act as a decoy, mostly because he's afraid of heights and can't force himself to climb up the antenna with Chris. He jumps off the roof and manages to land in the bushes, where Pete has found another way out of the mall.
We're gonna run away. Yeah? Yeah. Okay.
And so exits the designated comic relief characters. Back on the roof, Chris zip lines down a handy cable and... the spider is screaming. Why is the spider screaming? What in the hell is even this movie anymore? Chris crashes into the vents but gets stuck when a grate refuses to conveniently pop off when he slams into it, as it's not supposed to because they're usually nailed shut. Down in the mines, Brett and the mayor meet up, and the mayor gets what he deserves. Good riddance. Back in the mall, Sam gets Chris out of the vent and they get to the storage room, where it looks like the spiders are about to smash through the door to the mines. Oh, thank God. It's Brett. Yay. Everybody heads into the mines, with Sam using the forklift to block the door to delay the spiders. Chris starts leading everyone out, following the power cables to a generator, since the generators are always near an exit. But there's another problem to deal with.
What's that smell?
Wasn't me.
Methane gas. A lot of it. Listen up! The slightest spark or an open flame can blow us all to hell.
Maintenance guy gets separated from the group, and as I'm sure you've guessed, gets hauled off by an orb weaver. The tunnel out is covered in webbing, which means most likely they're getting close to where Consuela, the female orb weaver, is nesting. And if you needed a reminder...
The female is 3 times as big.
Heading further in, they get jump scared by a body.
It's Wade! It's Wade!
Oh, it's the asshole mayor. Thank God he's alive. Realizing they're in Consuela's den, Chris decides to see if they can find Gladys while Sam leads everybody else out of the mines. Of course, what they don't know is the spiders at the mall have gotten through and are swarming into the tunnels. Chris borrows Brett's bike and tries to tell Sam what he's been hinting at through the whole damn movie.
I know. You beat up my ex because you found out he was cheating on me. And you couldn't tell me because you didn't want to break up my family. And you love me. You've always loved me. And if only you'd said something sooner, maybe our lives would be different.
You know what? Kudos to this movie for efficiency in resolving that plot point. Chris heads deeper into the den and does manage to find Gladys and something else.
The Aqua Mesa load. He found it.
Everyone else gets out of the mines and works to get the generator running. And this is where Consuela appears and Mike's plan actually works. Oh yes, this is a lovely floral blend that will do wonders for those maids who bring you your dinner. Ooh, that's not supposed to happen. Are you allergic? Chris and Gladys jump on the bike to get the hell out of there, stopping just long enough to shove Gladys's matchbook into one of the mine lines. Back outside, the generator's out of gas, and there isn't any more. And this is where Ashley gets to do something in the last third of the movie.
Here, will this work?
Ashley, you're a genius.
And so, the lights ignite the matches, which in turn ignites the gas, blowing the mine, and the spiders and the mall all to hell. Chris and Gladys manage to escape the explosion, of course, and the cops and other emergency services show up too late to actually be of any help. Of course. But they aren't here because of the spiders.
They listen to my broadcast. Where are the aliens?
Forget it. Let's just wrap this up.
As far as Chris McCormick reopening the gold mines and putting everyone back to work, well, that, my friends, is another story altogether.
Okay, so this movie is extremely silly, obviously. It mostly works as the 50s B-movie pastiche it's supposed to be, but it's a little overlong. Some scenes feel redundant, like Chris trying to explain to Sam why he left multiple times, but getting interrupted. But the cast clearly knows what kind of movie they're making, and for the most part it's fun and enjoyable. Unless you're a severe arachnophobe, of course, in which case you might not make it past the first few minutes, where there's real spiders on camera. After that, though, the CGI is pretty obvious by today's standards, and you might be able to get through the rest of it. It's cartoonish and dumb, but if you like 50s schlock, you'll probably enjoy this. Next time, we get into some actual schlock as we look at our first made-for-TV movie featuring a soon-to-be Batgirl on her way up and a former Disney star on his way down. So join me as I continue to show you what lurks on the other side of the silver screen. And also, don't forget to donate to our Patreon, subscribe to the channel, and hit the like button, leave a comment, and all the other things that feed the YouTube algorithm. Please donate lots of money. It's how we pay for the mouthpiece, and also food, and shelter, and other shit like that. Good night.